So guys, next video in Voron 0 build series, and let's install the lead screw and the Z motor, assemble it together with the legs. First of all, we'll need to put together this spring-loaded nut and the corresponding coupler. And there are two types of these coupler mounts. They're very similar and I printed them both, but one does not fit the coupler and another one fits. So basically this is a part which depends on your kit and will, if unsure, print both of them. So you have to pick one which fits the nut correctly. This is a threaded lead screw nut, so here we have small M3 threads, and the installation is as simple as taking it and putting here with the toothed sides on top, so the two sides should match the two sides of the contour nut, and just sticking it in and putting two 12mm M3 screws. And yes, it snaps together as expected. If you don't trust the plastic which is used in your lead screw nut, I suppose you can always just have a bit longer screws and add two M3 nuts here. The part itself, it should be mounted on the back of the bed carriage, somewhere here, using the two nuts which should be pre-installed, and I believe this should be somewhere in the middle. So take another 12mm M3 nuts, M3 screws, sorry, fit them here and install the coupler. You should also add one M3 12mm screw here in this hole, because it will serve as an end stop, I presume, or as some kind of limiter. So the motor mount should sit on the back of a frame in the middle between these two extrusions, and the motor should be somewhere here, presumably. And I think that I should turn it in a way that the connector is facing inside of the frame, so either here or here. I will turn it here and I will use a marker to mark the correct orientation. Anyway, no one is gonna see that. The motor is attached with two M3 8mm screws in these holes and one M3 6mm screw in this hole. Next step, well, the usual when you are dealing with Voron 0 is to preload more nuts, and if you put your frame with motors facing away from you, so motors are here now, first of all you need to preload 3 more nuts in each of the extrusions, here and here. 3 nuts in these two extrusions. Then you turn the frame around so the motors are facing you, and you preload again symmetrically 3 nuts here and 3 nuts here. It would be funny if you preload more nuts that you actually need, and well, basically your printer will be rattling all the time unless you will, I don't know, super glue them. Finally, 3 more nuts should be placed on the back of the printer in these back extrusions here and here. I presume these are for the panels. Next thing, legs, and of course this cute rubber feet. There are 2 normal legs, or well, at least legs that has the same shape. They go to the front. Again, the printer is currently upside down and the motors are facing me, so the motors are back here. There are 2 more, one with a bigger air and one with a smaller air. And again, if you have frame upside down with motors in the back, the one with a bigger air comes to the right side of the frame, and this one comes on the left side of the frame. To fix this all together, you need 40mm screws, and you basically just thread these screws through the rubber legs. Rubber legs, through the plastic legs and all the way down into the extrusion. Next thing, let's install the motor and find it easier to install it sideways, because what you have to do, you have to compress the spring and push it all the way inside, so it locks with so one nut locks with another, and then you just put the shafts through. I will apply some lubrication on the later stage. Currently it's important for me to get this well threaded right. I thread it halfway down, maybe. I'll thread it halfway down and then I'll turn it around and I will secure the motor. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nuts here in this extrusion, and the motor mounts to that center nut. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move 2 nuts all the way in. I'm gonna align these 2 middle nuts with the holes in the motor mount, 1 and 2, and I will use 2 8mm and 3 screws to secure the motor bracket. There are 2 more nuts to fasten here, which are of course in an extremely awkward position. So if you turn the printer around like I do here, you will see that there are 2 more screw holes here and a place for 2 more M3 8mm nuts. So first of all I need to very carefully align the nut, and then again very carefully take a 8mm screw and well place it somehow so it doesn't scatter around. So yes, this is an exceptionally complex part of the build, but I suppose if I zoom in you can see the nuts here and here. So this is a finished well leg and Z-axis assembly. You can now turn your printer around without well fearing that most of the nuts will fall off. And yeah, let's see in the next part.